There was a time, not so long ago, when a Chinese leader setting himself up as ruler for life would have stirred international condemnation for bucking the global trend toward greater democracy. Now, such an action seems fully in keeping with moves by many countries in the other direction. The surprise disclosure on Sunday that the Communist Party was abolishing constitutional limits on presidential terms, effectively allowing President Xi Jinping to lead China indefinitely, was the latest and arguably most significant sign of the world's decisive tilt toward authoritarian governance, often built on the highly personalized exercise of power. The list includes Vladimir V. Putin of Russia, Abdel Fattah el-Sisi of Egypt and Recep Tayyip Erdogan of Turkey, all of whom have abandoned most pretenses that they rule according to the people's will. Authoritarianism is also reappearing in places like Hungary and Poland that barely a quarter-century ago shook loose the shackles of Soviet oppression. There are many reasons for such moves by Mr. Xi and others, including protecting their power and perks in an age of unrest, terrorism and war amplified by new technologies, but a significant one is that few countries have the standing or authority, morally or otherwise, to speak out, least of all, critics say, the United States. Almost no one would have described China as genuinely democratic before the latest move, which was announced without fanfare on Sunday. The country remains a one-party state with extensive control over political, social and economic life. Mr. Xi, who will be 69 when his second five-year term ends in 2023, is not simply following the example set by Mr. Putin or other leaders, she and other experts said. His motivations are unique to Chinese history and politics. Yet, they were deeply shaped by the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 and collapse of the Soviet Union 2 years later. Those historical milestones ushered in an era of expanding political and economic freedoms. Mr. McFall said that for nearly a quarter of a century autocratic leaders had to play defense against the democratizing trend that seized the post-Cold War order. Even the Russia that emerged from the ruins of the Soviet Union adopted a democratic constitution and instituted free elections. Whatever the chaos of Boris and Yeltsin's era in the 1990s, democracy was taking root when Mr. Putin came to power, in a relatively free and fair election, no less. From China's perspective, the end of the Cold War was hardly an inspiration, having led to the toppling of one-party dictatorships. The contagion of 1989, which saw popular protesters bring down communist governments in Central and Eastern Europe, infected China, too. A few months before the Berlin Wall came down, Chinese students massing in Tiananmen Square posed what officials in Beijing viewed as an existential threat, a legacy that continues to color everything the government does to this day.
For more new updates, subscribe Viral's Web.